Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 11th Esports World Championship here in Seoul, South Korea. My name is Rapid. I'm here with some Aqua, or Aqua NJH, whatever you want to go by.
Just call me Aqua.
Okay, Aqua. We are here to broadcast the best that the IESF 2019 11th Esports World Championship has to offer for Dota 2. We're going to be starting from round one. There's a bunch of teams here. I think we have 20 total teams and some of the best players in the world in attendance.
Yep, we have, old legends coming in to represent their countries, but we also have, all these new players that we haven't seen. Dota 2 is a very team-centric game. You have, teams usually represented by a brand, but, in IESF, we have countries being represented. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about IESF is that even if you might recognize some of these players because there are very recognizable names attending here, it's more about the countries that they represent. So you're going to see them compete in ways you've never seen before. So let's take a look at some information about this tournament coming up because it might be a little bit different than what you are expecting. Today is the 12th here in Korea, and so we'll be starting off with our Swiss round today, and then tomorrow we'll have the semifinals and third, fourth place match for the bronze medal later on. And of course on the 15th we'll have the finals and in a prize pool breakdown. This is in Korean won, so if you're seeing that extra zeros, it's not $7 million on the line. This isn't quite the international, but there's still a lot of international players here.
Yep, and on top of all that zeros, we have the pride of being the top team among all these countries.
That's true, and it's not stated here, but the nation that comes out with the highest standings in all the esports wins another, I think, about $10,000. So let's take a look at the nations participating in Dota. There are a total of 21 flags there. Fortunately, Egypt is not attending, and so that means that there will be a total of 20 teams, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that would be the correct math. 21 minus 1.
Yeah, 21 minus 1 is 20. All right, done. I did math on air, guys. Let's take a look at the method of the matches, or just some of the rules that we have here today. It's captain's mode, so nothing out of the ordinary. Side selection by coin toss, and of course, next map by coin toss, exactly as you see. It's best of 1 for our Swiss rounds, and then best of 3 for everything else.
Yep, through the Swiss round, we pick the teams for the final rounds, final tournament bracket. And then, eventually over the course of 3 days, we'll see which team would rise as a top team.
That's right. Now, as far as the groups are concerned, here's what it looks like. We've got a couple of groups, but for the most part, this is just a look at kind of the teams playing. And we're going to be starting off with, I believe, Sri Lanka versus, if I have this correctly on my screen, that's Philippines. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
This is an exercise in how many flags can I memorize. But yeah, this is Sri Lanka versus Philippines. And I think when you think about Dota, there are a few countries that might surprise you. I remember when SEOUL was first really popping onto the scene as oh my God, this guy's legendary.
Yep.
People were like, wow, Pakistani Dota, this is crazy. But here at IESF, we actually have a lot of countries represented that you might not associate with amazing Dota players.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the countries that we're not familiar with actually show up in these tournaments and make really impressive plays.
Yeah.
And that's one of the joys about IESF, I would say.
Absolutely is. Well, we are about ready to get into our first game of this IESF Dota 2 coverage. I believe we have Captain's Draft coming up here in just a second for Sri Lanka versus Philippines. And I think, there's been a number of very strong Filipino Dota players out there. Obviously, very strong scene out there. For Sri Lanka, I'm a little bit less familiar with the players that they're fielding. So I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about their roster this time around.
I mean, for Sri Lanka, we'll have to learn and, meet the players as the game goes on. But on the side of the Philippines, they have flagged the execration. So, pretty familiar team in the Southeast Asian scene.
Yeah, people have probably heard of execration if you watch any SEA Dota. You're going to come across them sooner rather than later. For the Sri Lankan squad, like I said, I'm still learning a little bit more about that. And while Aqua is definitely a Dota veteran, I am still catching up with the current Dota scene. And, as if they couldn't help me enough, we have the Outlanders update, and so I have just been a little bit inundated. So we've got a lot of cool new things to talk about. Thankfully, we don't have 2 extra champions to talk about because those aren't quite allowed just yet.
Yep, new heroes are auto-banned, so we don't have
goodness.
to deal with them during the draft, in the captain's mode at least. But, you know, we still have the same Dota, but completely overhauled, I'd say.
Yeah, technically the same Dota. I still click on the same icon to launch the game, but as soon as it launches, we've got extra couriers and outposts, and lots of things to talk about here, especially if you haven't watched any Pro Dota on the newest update. So just to talk about the ban phase, I don't think any of this is extremely surprising. Maybe the Razor ban, but certainly taking IO Tiny off the board doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, IO Tiny, they've been a long-time staple. They'll pick them banned for like the longest time in the captain's mode, but for different reasons. Again, in the new draft, we have IO with their it's more buffed, I'd say, overcharge, and then Tiny is really, I'd say, flexible at the moment. You can still go Dagger with a nuclear build, but you can also use the new Tree Grab as a carry build. So first ban is a bit warranted, and Tree with the Treant Protector has been really buffed in the last small patch, last mini patch, and then, you know, banned out on the first phase. Understandable.
Yeah, Treant Protector definitely is pretty strong. I've seen it in quite a few drafts, at least the ones that I have seen of the new patch. So coming in on the second ban, or the final ban, the first phase for the Philippines, looks like they're going to take out Lifestealer, but for the most part, so Next is out of there, but I don't think either team has really telegraphed what they're most afraid of yet.
Yeah, they've mostly banned out, so to speak, meta heroes for now. But there's some that, you know, slip through that 6 bans, like Venomancer, although a bit nerfed, can still be picked. Or they can pick up some aggressive supports to begin with, maybe?
Venomancer.
Nah, just gotta go green.
Aqua, you called it. I mean, not a mystery, certainly. Hero I've been seeing quite a bit lately. I'm excited to see Veno, but I think mostly if you first pick Veno, you know, it's not like he's just like an auto win at this point. That definitely sort of sets. It's like when you first pick Brood. I'm just like, well, you know, you kind of just told them what you're gonna try to do. So I don't know what to expect from this Veno pick.
I mean, Veno was really buffed at the beginning of the Outlanders patch, given that his DOT also now cuts on your healing capabilities.
Yeah.
But that has been nerfed a bit to a reasonable level.
Okay.
Still a really big lane dominator, and the Plague Wards are really good during the outpost combats. And Sand King and Lina, and that's immediately very aggressive, stun-oriented response to Veno. Like as you said, Venomancer has a bit limited mobility. You can kind of tell where he's gonna go and what kind of team fight Venomancer is looking for. Now you try to disrupt that with Sand King and Lina. Well, I mean, it's who gets the initiative at this point.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the saddest thing in the world is levels 1 through 5 Veno, and you're just like, well, I've got my wards to protect me. Like, not against Sand King Lina, you don't. So yeah, definitely a strong statement made there by our Philippine team. I'm kind of curious what these next couple of picks are going to be for Sri Lanka, because you know, how do you pair this up? Do you want to try to ensure that Veno gets the chance to be that dominator that we all know he can be, or look towards power elsewhere?
They get Rubik, so you know, a lot of spells to steal from already. Sand King, one of the best counters that Rubik, best hero that Rubik can counter. Burrow Strike is such a fun skill to use as a Rubik. Yeah. And then Lina Stun's pretty good spell to steal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always grab the counter Laguna Blade if you just need to sort of play that game. But certainly a versatile hero for sure. Really has a lot. And it also puts in your opponent's mind, wait a second, you know, if we pick any of these iconic heroes that have just great spells to steal, you know that there's already a Rubik on the other side.
Yeah, and during the draft phase, what I like about Rubik is that it doesn't really let your opponent know what you're gonna pick next.
Yeah.
And as far as the laning goes, I don't think Rubik will go with Venomancer to the off lane. I prefer something more strong with Venomancer, maybe like Tusk.
Okay, right, for a lot of early lane support. I guess that would make sense. Seeing the rest of the bans here, I don't think there's... what do you think about Lone Druid?
Laundry has been great lane dominator. Thing about Sri Lanka is that they cannot pick it themselves because during the laning phase, the bear gets targeted a lot. Like bear was buffed over to the late game, towards the late game, but during the early laning phase, the bear is actually the weakest ever, I'd say. And Lina or just any other hero can just click it to death. Like just click the bear and it will die.
This is Aqua's recipes for success. How to win Dota. Just click it.
Yeah, just click on the enemy.
Okay. So yeah, we're still completely unaware of exactly either the lane pairing for a Venomancer or exactly what Sri Lanka wants to accomplish, but you're going to finish things off with a Naga, at least for this ban.
Yeah, they're countering each other's carries, but Gyrocopter more of a early, from the laning to like early mid-game oriented teamfight carry. And Naga Siren, along with Lone Druid, it's more of a late-game carry. Given that Sand King and Lina can totally set the pace of the game early, Naga Siren can just come back later. Can act as what I would call an insurance carry. You're like 4 other members of your team just wins the game for you. But just in case they fail, you're there to carry the game late. And Bloodseeker is really popular pick lately. Banned out, but Lich, Lina, Sand King. It would pick Lina to the mid or Sand King to the off lane. They both can act as a core, and Lich is just a good I'd say linchpin pick right now to really put a veil on the 4th and 5th pick.
10 seconds
Lich
remaining.
pin, if you will. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I had to do it.
5
once.
seconds
And this is not
remaining.
going to stop. So the real thing is the defining pick here for Sri Lanka. I still completely unaware of what exactly they're trying to accomplish. And I guess maybe that's by design. I mean, certainly the first 2 picks from Philippines really said that somebody at some point is going to die, and they're going to make sure of that. But really a lot of versatility here from the Sri Lankan lineup. And that's what's cool about Dota. It's like, depending on which region you watch, you watch Chinese Dota, you're like, oh my god, these guys are just killing everybody everywhere. And then you watch some other minor region play Dota, you're like, well, this is just completely different. I have no idea how Sri Lanka plays Dota. So there's some Sri Lankan Dota experts out there. Tweet at me, let me know.
Yeah, we're still looking for opinions.
Yeah.
And at the same time, given that they don't know much about each other, in Pro Dota, you can kind of analyze the enemy's replay if they're a known team, but they don't know really much about each other, which makes it more straightforward to just work on your own strength instead of analyzing enemy's weakness.
Yeah, I guarantee you these guys are pulling up Dota buff as much as they can. They're like, all right, we've got to figure out what these guys play. Because for the most part, they're not, entire professional teams together, even though you would associate the Filipino squad with Execration.
10 seconds
Yeah.
remaining.
I mean, Philippines has been really, I'd say,
5
straightforward
seconds remaining.
with their picks.
Okay.
The Juggernaut, vanilla as the carries go. But, up to the 3rd pick, it's Lich, very strong, disables,
Templar
nuking
Assassin.
is a Sand King, Lina, and Lich's game. But at the same time, they're really vulnerable to Rubik. And they have a TA to complement the lack of physical damage they have.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, great to steal some spins from Juggernaut, but adding on the TA finally starts to tell us more about the win conditions and certainly about the
10
lane
seconds
matchups.
remaining.
I mean, I think TA mid is certainly most common, but not necessarily what we're going to see here.
Remaining.
Yep, I mean, TA has been really rising as a top-tier mid at the moment. She's been buffed a bit, and she gained an Aghanim in the last patch. And people has been using her a lot, and a lot of physical damage is what Dire has been lacking for now. They got magical damage and map control in terms of Venomancer, and really good laning partner in the form of Undyne. So lane dominator on the off lane, and safe lane is going to be a bit weak
10
by nature,
seconds
given that it's
remaining.
Rubik support.
Yeah,
So more of a
that's true.
self-sustaining carry on
seconds
their
remaining.
safe lane, and mid Templar Assassin. If your mid player is really comfortable with the
Dire
hero,
team pick.
just give it to him and just trust him.
I like the Bat Rider ban because that at least ensures that that's not what you're going to have to worry about. Stacking up that sticky.
Yep, sticking napalm.
Napalm.
Really good counter to TA as well. TA is one of those heroes that even as a 8th pick, you are kind of
10
afraid to
seconds
pick her
remaining.
because you ban out one counter, there's like 20 more counters to go.
5 seconds
Yeah.
Can't really ban out everything unless you're like the 10th pick, the last pick.
Well, it's the thing. It's not the 10th pick, so obviously they are saving this final few seconds of overtime for something. Now, obviously, we're expecting that TA probably mid, but we still don't know. Like you said, the offlane looks a little weak here.
Yeah, I mean, the logic would be that, you know, ban
Radiant
out
team
Bat Rider, other counters they can deal with, and even if it's mid Lena, you know, TA can deal with her. So, unless Philippine team spends like their final pick just specifically countering TA, it would be at least an even laning phase, and they're morphling to go late as well.
You're right, kind of ensuring that, especially if that TA does get
10
shut down by some
seconds remaining.
surprise last counter pick, Philippines are going to be doing okay.
5 seconds remaining.
But yeah, pretty iconic. I'm especially liking the Venomancer pick. I didn't kind of know what they were doing with it, but for Sri Lanka, I don't know. I just want to get in the game and see how they play.
Yeah, really good lane dominator in form of Undying and Venomancer.
Yeah.
And Rubik and Morphling will be their more of a late game
Mhm.
assets. And given the Morphling, if Morphling gets enough XP and farm, it can still be a like mid game nuker as well. It's a carry that can both act as a mid game nuker, but at the same time late game carry. Very flashy plays is possible.
If I have to see another like strength morph save Morphling, I'm just gonna lose it too many times. That happens. But final pick coming in here for our Philippine roster. What's gonna be? I don't know. I feel like you've got really most of their options covered. What are we looking for here from Philippines?
I mean, they can just sit on their laning phase with maybe stuff like Viper as well. The thing is that their lanes are just really, like, they're vanilla, which means that they're strong as they are anyways. So unless they want to
you
especially
may now select
counter
your
TA,
heroes.
or they can use Pugna to just push out the lane. Also really strong laner.
Yeah, I guess Pugna does sort of, I don't know, round out what you described as a very vanilla lineup. Obviously, the way that these lineups would traditionally go is going to be a little bit changed by the crazy new updates and all those
Yep.
interesting things to talk about. I think probably that's going to be what is the most kind of exciting thing about this IESF 11th World Championship is because there just haven't been a whole lot of tournaments. I think what's going on right now, there's like WESG, I think is like another one of these big national
Yep.
competitions that a lot of these same teams are playing in as well. And obviously that's the qualifiers for that tournament are being played on the current patch. So lots of things to learn from there. I haven't had a chance to watch almost any of those qualifier games, so I'm coming in fresh on this new patch and trying to figure out what on earth is happening. So this is kind of a nice way to start that out.
Yeah, and I'm really like interested in how these teams like view this patch.
Mm-hmm.
They all have their different visions, I'd imagine, and it's really refreshing to see these ideals and visions clash, not just on their like team versus team level, but now that we have these all new teams based on their countries.
Yeah.
So I mean, really interesting battlefield we're expecting. And given the given the picks, this Pugna pick is going to be really interesting. Like, I mean, Juggernaut can also work as a mid game to late game carry, but he also has really good pushing power in form of a healing ward.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think like how do you push Juggernaut out of lane? I mean, obviously, like Venomancer wants to be that big like lane dominator, but it definitely takes some time to come online. Whereas I guess Juggernaut's kind of that iconic. I will just push you out of lane. It's going to take a lot to deal with him.
Yeah, so one of the thing about Juggernaut is that he's going to have a problem against Venomancer. So that's one thing that I'm really curious onto, like how will they deal with this Venomancer Undying lane?
I mean, obviously we're expecting that to be the lane matchup, but crazier things have happened.
Yep.
I don't know exactly what to expect, but let's find out by getting into our first game of the day for the Dota 2 coverage of this 11th Esports World Championship. It's going to be Sri Lanka against the Philippines, and I think we have that first game coming up. So yeah, here we go.
Smoked up right from the get-go, maybe for the word, or they're looking for maybe some kills. Lich Juggernaut can definitely pull out some kills. So it was Morphling and Undying on
They'll never find
They'll
The
at least
Dire,
low the,
yeah.
no, the lane matchup up. Can't be quite that sneaky.
Yep, just use decay, steal some strength, and also at the same time, you know like how many heroes are hidden behind the trees by the amount of strength you steal. But I think he
30
stole just
seconds to
from
battle.
one hero.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, obviously you do want to start off with as much as possible, but you're not going to be landing 5-man decays at 23 seconds into the game. So.
Yeah, not sure if we have the countries on the right side because we have Kim Zero on the Dire.
I was watching that as well. I think it might be swapped, right?
And I've always wondered, is it Kim Zero or Kimo? I usually call him
Yeah,
Kimo.
how elite a gamer are you?
The
Yes.
battle begins.
Oh, that's really a deep word.
Yeah, I wasn't actually watching the minimap closely enough to see that being placed down. I'm like, wow, that's just way in there.
So Dire placed the ward again on the top rune for the mid lane, but one really deep in the jungle. I mean, TA usually can farm that camp once she hits like 3 to 5 levels.
Did they take that second bottom rune?
No, they're walking to the outpost rune right now.
Okay, yeah.
to take the Dire rune.
It's like latest rune ever. Okay, well, he is going to get it, and obviously, you don't necessarily need to be there immediately. But yeah, as far as the lane matchups go, I think this is, not necessarily exactly what I expected, but like you said, you don't want to have the Juggernaut versus Benno early on anyway.
And quite an interesting laning setup from the Dire is send Morph to the off lane. Just get EXP, just farm against Juggernaut. Given that Morphling can pretty much survive against him. And Rubik has been sitting in the mid lane for a long time trying to snipe a courier, which did not happen.
Yeah, if you guys are unfamiliar with the courier changes, basically everybody gets couriers. You get a courier, and you get a courier. And, so there's quite a few, and so waiting to snipe that definitely a little bit more feasible now. Are we about to witness first blood here? Burrow strike saves Satan for now.
Yep. I mean, maybe like he could have gone down in a single hit, but that was really well timed
okay,
stun. But
speaking of the devil, that's the caster curse right there. First blood
Yep.
already for the Dire.
we have sealed his fate, and that was DK Soul Rip right as, and then Rubik finally gets his
Radiant's
patience
courier has been
paid off.
killed.
Has been waiting in that spot for the longest time, for like 1 minute and 40 seconds.
I feel like, especially since I'm a little bit newer to Dota, that's what always surprises me. Is like it looks like you're just wasting a lot of time, and then you just kill the guy. I'm like, well, yes, that's gonna happen. So nice to see that pay off right there. Obviously, fighting over this camp, Palos is not looking super healthy here, but obviously, actually, he's gonna be able to wave one away.
It almost seems like it's just off lane, morph lane to begin with.
Mhm.
Because usually as a carry, you don't want to take waveform that early, but just take it to survive against
You also do
lane
not want to
three.
die that early, so makes a lot of sense. I mean, he'll also still have that if he does need to escape later on from something similar, so not the end of the world for sure, but also top lane, we gotta watch this. Satan is still struggling. Kim just going in there.
Yeah, better scale up, Sandstorm to stay safe for now. No detection on the Dire side, so Sand King low on HP but still alive.
I mean, eventually he will have to move from that sandstorm, right? We're watching Palos basically almost execute down here, but I still have the morph to keep himself pretty healthy down there. But I still think we're not going to see a good time there for Satan. Goes down again.
So rip. I mean, Undying, as much as DK is like as annoying as DK can be, like
Right.
Soul Rip is a real powerhouse during
Yeah.
the laning phase. And Rubik is roaming mid with the creep right behind him.
I honestly thought Sand King was going to be more on like roam duty, at least especially to put some pressure on this mid lane. Obviously,
that's
you
just
do
showing
not
off.
need pressure if you are just going to kill the guy.
Yep. I mean, Pugna has been annoying in the last hit warfare. You know, decrypt the TA as
Radiant's middle
if
tower
the
is under
TA was
attack.
going to go for the last hit. But good use of Sideblade, just kill him, I guess.
TP out to safety, at least one way to stay alive, but it's not going to win you in the lane for sure. This
And-
Morphling, man, keeps worrying me, but I guess that's how you play Morphling, right? You just almost die over and over again.
In Morphling TA, you gotta be flashy to play these heroes. Gotta learn to live on the edge, and that's what Palos has been doing really well. Like level 4 already again as a Morphling against Lich Juggernaut.
You're
That's
killing it.
a bit more EXP than I would like Radiant to allow to that offlaner.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Kim's been rotating quite a bit, so it's going to allow solo XP, but it's still pretty impressive to see. I don't see his last hit counter, but still net worth pretty high for now.
Yep, TA with a solo kill, but with Invis Rune, Rubik just comes in. Not enough mana for Lift. Just, yeah, telekinesis, about
Really
10
not
more
have
mana.
enough mana. Oh, he's so close. He's so close. He's going for it. There it is.
Decrypt to survive, but
One
as
more,
long
one
as
more.
Decrypt wears out. One more last hit, maybe?
I think it is going to take one more, and he gets it through the trees.
That was the longest slow chase I have ever seen.
How does vision work in this game? Like, I'm pretty sure he was on the other side of the tree, auto attack.
Yeah, Pogna tried to juke it out, but I think that there was only one tree. So Rubik can just walk and get near him for the vision.
Well,
And-
congratulations.
Yep.
Wow, so 4-0, a great start for Sri Lanka here. Obviously, game's not over, but at the same time, nothing really working so far for Philippines. I mean, I feel like Sri Lanka, not only are they getting all the kills, but they're also getting a freer lane for Morphling than I would have expected. So they're winning the early game. They've got the late game in Morphling. I don't know. It just seems like they're also getting kills based on the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, excellent lane domination from the TA with the help of Rubik, of course. But what I want to really notice about the Dire side is that the supports are really active. Like, you'd imagine Rubik to, he can also sit in the lane, get to level 6, and be a team fight, powerhouse. But at the same time, this Rubik has been moving around from level 1, snipe the courier and move to top, get some ganks in, and then get the mid ganks in. And that has been the second death of
Radiant's middle
Pugna,
tower
and
is under
wait,
attack.
no, it's third. One was solo kill, one was killed by Rubik, and now ganked by Rubik and Rubik against TA. And Pugna is really, it really has to play a catch-up game when the game it wants to play is a snowballing game.
Whiff on the stun there. So Mediocre is able to make it out, and man, Philippines can't find anything working their way. I mean, like you were talking about the activity of their supports. I'm like, okay, well, it's cool and everything, but you do have to convert that activity into something else. So here comes Rubik down bottom, pull back on a Death Wish, who kind of has one pretty far forward without the vision he needed to be there.
Yep, I mean, if Rubik comes in when there's Morphling and Undying ready to go,
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta die. There's no running away from
Is this
death.
like a ward issue, or I mean, it seems like Philippines is getting like surprised over and over again.
Yeah, one thing I don't know if it's Philippines on the Radiant side, given the idea of the players.
Yeah, we should
But-
keep in mind that
yeah.
that's
But at the same time, from the Dire side is what's really interesting is that given that Venomancer was a lane that they cared the most with Undying, TA and Morphling actually gained enough EXP, enough gold, and dominate their lanes alone enough for the supports to make enough impact when they rotate around. So almost a classic, and another
Radiant
side blade
structures
spill
are
into the courier, and kills the courier, kills the hero. That's just, just you can't really slap him and spin on him too.
yeah. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, so just to clarify,
Radiant's
if I'm not
bottom
mistaken,
tower is under
Radiant
attack.
is Sri Lanka
Dire's
and
turret has been killed.
Dire is Philippines.
And TA loses his courier by one of the things that gets really punished in the recent patch is courier negligence. You cannot neglect your courier at all times.
And especially, at least from the couple of games that I've seen on the new patch, when a team gets ahead, that's one way that they use to
Radiant's
solidify
bottom
their
tower
lead.
is
Is
under
that because
attack.
they control more space because their heroes are
structures are
stronger,
fortified.
they have the ability to snipe couriers a little bit more easily. So, yeah, it can be a struggle because now all of a sudden, not only do you lose that courier, there's that cooldown. It's like, well, you're just so much further behind, whereas the team that's ahead keeps getting those items delivered out to them.
That was
right on
great
time.
Radiant's
patience
middle tower
on
is
the
under attack.
telekinesis, at the same time great patience on the Decryptify, but you got an Omni Slash against Rubik to secure the kill. Rubik tried to hug TA just so that they can kind of splash the Omni Slash damage, but to no avail. But revenge has been done.
Yeah, I mean, hey, kills on the board there for Philippines. Obviously, that's not all
Radiant's
of what the
bottom
game is
tower
about,
is
but
under
it's nice to
attack.
at least see them able to pick up a little bit of that instead of just letting. And 4-1 Rubik, we saw that one coming. Nice job so far by the Dire.
Juggernaut has sustained a bit of farm. And Sand King got pretty good farm as well, given the early difficulties in the lane. But, you know, if you have enemy TA on 4.7k net worth before 10 minutes mark, it's pretty rough.
Well, also second highest net worth is Morphling. So, like, you know, you've got the early mid game, and you've also got, you know, late game coming in pretty strong as well. Second tier.
Well, that was a nice deny, though.
I mean, yeah, okay, credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
You're the apologist here, Aqua. You're like, well, you know, they're 2-9 and they're losing all the turrets, but that was a nice tier 2 turret deny.
Well, that was really technical.
That was true. That was true.
Like, right in between TA last hits, Pugna just gets one hit in to deny. But think about Midtown going down, being really critical is at 10 minutes, the outpost fight, Rubik captures the one on the left.
How dead is Satan here? Or Satan? He's pretty dead there. And Morningstar,
definitely dead. Chemo steps forward a bit, life drain, but lifted immediately. No, wait, Lina died.
yeah, I mean, the tick damage is enough there at the end, so.
Venomancer, doing Venomancer things.
Tell me more. Yeah. Wow. This is just domination from Sri Lanka, and obviously, you know, the game's not completely over, but clearly their game plan is working out incredibly well. These Rubik roams, like, what do you say about that? Just so much pressure early on. I mean, there's just like lane phases that didn't exist. Oh, sick. We're starting to see the neutral items come in.
Yep.
4-man shield back in action.
Yeah, we have the Lost Holy Trinity called the Iron Talon, Ring of Aquila, and then 4-man shield. You know, we missed them so much.
Yeah, what year is this? Wow. Gone but not forgotten, for sure. Man, Rubik, I love how proactive Rubik is playing here. Just like totally unafraid.
Yep, and Rubik now has spell steal, so still Nether Blast, pretty good spell right now because they're pressuring all the towers. And Lich does a death gaze. That was, you know, he's dead.
There's the meld. Oh, watch these autos.
Slow, dodges the stun.
Nice dodge.
Yep. Execration Nico just showing off. I mean, a good Templar session player is always a treat to watch, given that, you know, all the side blade skill, completely calculated.
I feel like TA is one of those heroes where, like, just by watching, like, if you turn the IDs off, you can tell a good TA player just by watching. So, like you said, a treat to watch. So, definitely what we have going on. I mean, it's not really the TA show. Definitely doing a good job farming, but man, every time I watch this, it's like, are we at a kill a minute? Actually, no, we're over a kill a minute.
Yeah, we've gone past that point a long time ago.
Oh my God, 10K net worth lead here.
Pugna juked it out, and this was a successful juke.
Wow. No justice there.
Yep.
So Pugna does get back safe and sound, but it's a little bit of a Pyrrhic victory. It's like, okay, I survived, but also I'm not out there doing anything. Venomancer continues doing what Venomancer does best, pushing complete lane domination down here.
Yeah, and I must say, what I like the most about this Venomancer, Mediocre, is that he has the taunt. The Bananamancer taunt is the most important part of the playing Venomancer.
I love the GG trees. Oh.
Yep, Ironwood Tree, one of the newer items. And they also dropped the Arcane Ring. I forgot from the Witch side.
Does it? Oh my God. Okay, I'm learning so much here.
Yeah, Templar Assassin also has the Ironwood Tree.
Hello, Lena. Please respond. Yep. Pretty dead.
Yeah, I mean, against TA that farm, if you cannot land your stuns, and it's really hard to land a stun against TA that farm, you're pretty much dead as Lena. You're just floating around while this assassin just jumps in, lay some traps, slow you, and just kill you in like 3 hits.
Well, also as Alina, like, even if you land your stun, like, I mean, how are you breaking the fraction charges? Like, I don't know if that's necessarily in your, like possible.
Just use Laguna Blade like 7 times.
Nice meme. Anyway, as far as this game is concerned, I mean, nothing able to stop Sri Lanka at this point. I mean, the only thing that's really working for Philippines is Blade Master, and he's going in, he's trying, but Six has his work cut out for him.
Slowed. Minimum scale, and more.
Morningstar dead through the trees, yeah.
Morningstar dies. And that sentry ward in the tree is really one of those things where details are so delicate but really important. And Pugna goes down, Lich goes down. And
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Blade Driver's out, and TA is coming. Sand King is trying to help, keeping in, but it takes one hit.
That was a fight for the godlike streak there.
Dire's top
Ultimately,
tower
yeah,
is under
TA
attack.
absolutely dominated. 2-22 here at the 15-minute mark,
Radiant's bottom
and
tower is
it's
under
not
attack.
looking so good for our Filipino squad. I mean, if you
Radiant's
ask me going
bottom
into this, I
tower
mean,
is
you
falling.
slap an execration label on any team, you're like, oh, okay, I get it,
Radiant's
right?
middle tower is under
Well,
attack.
not so much.
Radiant's middle
Sri
tower
Lanka
has
definitely
fallen.
coming out to play here. Super dominant in their first round of Swiss.
Yeah, I mean, Morphling working out, and the Morphling is actually looks a bit of pacifist relative to his whole team going Lincoln. I mean, Morphling has been farming, and the only heroes he killed are the heroes that visited his lane.
Yeah, but that's not worth it.
Well, I mean, it's Morphling.
Okay, okay,
He's
okay.
a farmed Morphling.
Nothing to see
Radiant's
here,
top
guys.
tower
Just
is
a
under
farm
attack.
Morphwing. Well, it's still going to be pretty rough to deal with. Because, of course, like, yeah, I mean, he doesn't get weaker as the game goes on. So, if you have to shut him down, I mean, now is the time. But, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see anything working here for Philippines. Now starting Roche, I think this is the, come at me, bro. If there's a time to go, it's now for the Philippine squad. But I don't even think they can do anything here.
I mean, I think Radiant never had an outpost, and Dire is hitting all their item progression like 5 minutes earlier than the average, I guess. I mean, it's 15 minutes, and TA has Dagger, Desolator, and an Aegis. So,
Yeah, so how many times do you have to kill this TA? It's like break through all the refraction, death, revive through the Aegis, and then all over again. So good luck with that one, my friend.
21 Lagunas, maybe? So yeah, give Lina about 21 refresher shards, I guess.
Nice.
Radiant's
How
top
many
tower is under
Lunas
attack.
does it take? 1, 2, 3. I mean, Lina's still good for wave clear, right? Trying to protect the tower? No, nothing to do
The
there.
thing about
Radiant's
Radiant
top
is that they got
tower
pretty
is
good
falling.
lane clear,
Mm-hmm.
but
Not a lot else.
Dire's too farmed that if you want to get in just a tiny bit forward to clear the lane, they're going to jump on you.
They've got so much hard engage. It's like, well, how do you survive through that? Like, turrets and towers aren't going to protect you for now.
That was good Laguna into...
Oh, safe. He's making it happen. Pops the Aegis. That's a nice one, but still, I mean, you're not going to take this TA down.
Yeah, the nuking power coming in, but at the same time, the Aegis
Radiant structures
kicks
are
in.
fortified.
And, you know, Venok is playing,
Radiant's top
planting
tower is
leg wards and jumps in
Oh
forward.
my god.
Morningstar has
Radiant's
gone
top
down
tower is
in the
falling.
night.
Palos is making a statement
Radiant's
here.
top
This is
towers are under
complete
attack.
domination from our let me try that again. Sri
Radiant's
Lankan
top
Dota
barracks
squad.
has fallen. Radiant's
It's,
top
it's an
barracks
early day.
has
It's been a
fallen.
long day of esports soccer.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you cast the game before.
Okay.
And now, you know, I mean, I'm coming in fresh from this game, but
Okay.
you've been, you know, it's been a long day for you.
Well, I was gonna say, like, yeah, help me out here. I feel like there are a few casterisms, like hallmarks of
Radiant's
esports
top shrine
commentators,
is under attack.
where we're supposed to talk about how the team that's behind can come back. Yeah, I was thinking about this for a while. I'm like, well, you know, it's a new patch. If they hit level 30, maybe they'll be just powerful enough to. Oh, no, it's gonna take a while.
I mean, that's simplifying things a lot. I mean, you can get
Yeah.
to level 30, but there are about like 2,000 steps that you have to get right before you're hitting
Oh
level
my.
30, and that was not the right one.
Yeah, I don't know if we're hitting that 30 mark. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but it's gonna take us a while.
I mean, it's not really about level 30. It's about minute mark 30 at this point.
Ooh, harsh. Well, you're right. Will we make it to the 30-minute mark? I don't know about that. I mean, everything going Sri Lanka's way. Obviously, we're just kind of talking about them steamrolling over everything in their path, trying to go in. Once again, it's going to be a rough time to be Sand King. Although, I will say, Kim is getting a little bit ahead of himself.
Yeah, but I think Morphling is actually doing his job right, which is, you know, taking out the Laguna Blades.
Okay, all right, mission accomplished there, if you want to
Yes.
look at it that way.
I mean, like I said, you know, if Lina can hit about 21 Laguna Blades in succession, she can kill TA.
20 more to go, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that she used the first Laguna Blade on Undying. So now TA is unkillable.
Oh, well, that was the first mistake, obviously.
Yes.
You've got to start stacking those up, right? Oh, I was like, well, you know, Bro String is good, but not the hero I was expecting.
That's really tanky Rubik.
Masaram,
So
hello.
Tanks Omnislash, tanks Chain Frost, but taken down by a single hit. But Rubik buys back. Dire's trying to end the game right now. Alice survives.
How do you kill that which cannot die? Well, I don't know
Strange
how to kill Palace
Eon.
yet. I guess you're right, but yeah, this is all Sri Lanka all the time. I think at this point we're just waiting for them to crush everything in their path. They were going for a few style points there, diving deep. Oh my!
There
Okay.
was not a single pub that to be found.
At this point, it's like every hero on the Philippine roster has like they're like walking wards HP.
Radiant's
They're
middle
just
tower.
like, well, how easy to kill? 1, 2, dead.
And I just realized the most fun part about playing as Dire right now is that they got 2 Burrow Strikes against 1. It's
Oh, yeah,
Rubik
that's
and
right.
Warblade.
Good point. Well, it's like how many Burrow Strikes does it take to win a game? That's the right number, 33-5, the final scoreline there in a sub 30-minute game. Unsurprisingly, wow, what a way to start off our Dota 2 coverage here at the 11th Esports World Championship. Am I right?
Yep, and I think it comes down, like in terms of draft, it comes down to the point that you really want to focus on your strength. Instead of being more like well-rounded out, more balanced, we really want something to rely on.
Mm-hmm.
Like when everything goes like airy, you just need one thing that can win you at least one team fight,
Right.
and secure you one outpost. And from there, you kind of snowball it out
Mhm.
towards like even point, and then eventually try to win the game. So yeah, draft maybe a bit too bland, I'd say.
Yeah, we were talking about like the vanilla nature. I
Mhm.
think that's what you called it of the Philippines draft. Definitely nothing super spicy, and especially when from the early roaming, everything just worked out for Sri Lanka there. So that's gonna do it for our first game of Dota 2. Don't go anywhere. We've got tons more Dota coming up as the 11th Esports World Championship continues right after this.